Valley News Live at 10.
It's back home, safe and sound for nearly 100 veterans from North Dakota and Minnesota who just arrived in Fargo after a whirlwind trip to our nation's capital. They returned to a hero's welcome at Hector International Airport. These latest vets to take part in an honor flight had little downtime as they made stop after stop during their fast-paced two-day trip.
I'm blessed by this reception we get here. It's unreal. We had a reception out there too, but nothing like there is here. Just something out of this world. You know, we think we're just normal people. We aren't special, but it looks like maybe we are.
At no cost to the veterans, the North Dakota-Minnesota Honor Flight raises money to pay for their trips. And for many of those who take part, this trip is their first visit to Washington, D.C. Valley News Live is proud to be a part of this wonderful event for those who have served and look forward to the next trip, which is usually in the spring. It's a game changer for keeping you safe. They're drones. Just last week, one was used to find a missing boy in a field in central Minnesota.
And on Friday, a drone was used in our backyard in a search for a man who police believed wanted to harm himself. Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer talks with the people behind the drone to see how it's done.
A possible perimeter situation with a male that overdosed.
A mental health crisis in rural Cass County. That's what authorities were busy dealing with Friday night.
They were going to go and get it, and I'll also work on the drone team.
And this was the tool that was used in the search.
Here, red is the hottest temperature.
Captain Chris Piper has been with the fire department for nearly 2 decades. And during that time, he's watched technology evolve. When the department acquired a drone a little over a year ago, he was excited to see how it could help. Plus, he already had some experience working with one.
I was a hobbyist pilot. I had been flying a drone myself for almost 2 years.
In fact, an entire unit was formed involving officers, firefighters, and deputies from a handful of local agencies devoted to drone training, using this technology to help serve you.
We detect an image, we can lower down to verify, is that a person, is that an officer, a fireman, is that a dog, or is it a deer, whatever it is. And once we verify what it is, then we can get the coordinates.
Now, fortunately, Friday night was a clear one to use the drone because it can't be used in the rain or during high winds. That's why we're using ours inside one of our studios. So with winter around the corner, how do they work in the cold? Believe it or not, the cold weather actually makes it easier to track down who or what they're looking for.
And then white is the cooler temperatures.
And authorities have high hopes for its future. One officer tells us being able to find a missing boy, like what happened in central Minnesota, makes all the training on this new technology so much worthwhile. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
The drone unit is called the Red River Valley Unmanned Aircraft Systems Unit. It's made up of 5 agencies, including Fargo Fire, Police, West Fargo Fire, and Police, along with the Cass County Sheriff's Office.
A stolen trailer has been found, but the contents inside are still missing. Valley News Live ran a story last week about a Fargo contractor who lost the trailer and equipment inside. He valued the loss at $30,000. Dalen Schmidt says he got a call from someone who saw our report. The trailer was found in South Fargo, about 10 blocks from the job site where it was taken. At this point, he says he's still out at least $19,000 in equipment that was taken.
A North Dakota attorney and 2018 Supreme Court Justice candidate is accused of making death threats. 75-year-old Robert Belinsky has been charged with terrorizing and harassment. He's accused of leaving voicemails at a relative's workplace, threatening to assault and, quote, eliminate him. The victim told deputies it's possible Belinsky would use firearms. Bond was set for him at $2,500.
Cass County commissioners today addressed allegations of a hostile workplace within the Child Protective Services unit. Earlier this month, a complaint was filed claiming management bullied and intimidated employees in that unit. The social services director says there's been a communication breakdown between management and employees. Today we learned the problems are being felt throughout all agencies.
Relationship between the supervisors, managers, including myself, as well as the workers, became combative.
And with the upper management, you really felt like you were walking on eggshells, to top it off with all the other stresses.
Plans are to find ways to resolve the hostile workplace across county agencies. A manager at Social Services was also placed on a work improvement plan.
Serious UND fans, this story's for you. The Fighting Sioux frame in gold letters from the old Ralph Engelstad Arena scoreboard will be auctioned off. The scoreboard in question hung in the Ralph for 18 years. It was replaced this year with a new scoreboard. Bidding is underway. It will end Tuesday, November 5th. The starting bid is at $15,000, and there's a minimum bid increment of $250.
Landon Solberg's light continues to shine. NDSU will host a Light It Up for Landon night a week from Wednesday in conjunction with the men's basketball season opening exhibition game. The event will honor Landon and his family for their positive impact on the Bison basketball program, the FM community, and the surrounding area. Landon passed away last month after battling brain cancer for nearly 2 years. He was just 12 years old. For each person who shows up for the game, Gate City Bank will donate $1 to support the Pediatric Oncology Department at Roger Maris Cancer Center. Sanford will give away 500 In This Together t-shirts to fans at the door.
Cass County has followed in Governor Doug Burgum's footsteps by passing a flood emergency declaration. The governor is asking for federal funding to help those impacted by rising water.
Valley News Team's Katie Opperly spoke with a family who says what's happening this fall is unlike anything they've seen.
David Johnson and his family have lived in Harwood for more than a decade. He says while the area is no stranger to flooding, this much water in the fall is something that he can't remember ever happening before.
Well, usually in the fall it's dry and the water level goes down. This has just been an unusual year, I guess, with all the rain, and now they're going to release Baldhill Dam again and it'll come back up.
The Cheyenne River is expected to rise close to major flood stage later this week in Harwood. For Johnson, that means water rising close to his home.
On this side of town, with the Cheyenne River right in the backyard, we'll see it getting close to the yard when it gets to moderate flood stage, where it's been for a while now. So, see, 92 feet's the highest it's been. That's within a couple feet of the elevation of the house.
For Cass County, its worries go far beyond the rising river levels. County leaders say this week means more trouble for farmers and ranchers as it floods fields once again and could wash out rural roads.
There's been a lot of overland flooding and just water standing in fields from the rain. So, that's really impacted our farmers in not being able to get out and harvest.
Benson says people need to take extra precautions when driving on any rural roads. If you can avoid it, he says don't drive on them at all.
The local farmers are going to need to use those roads to get their crops off the field, and we don't want to damage the roads now when they're wet. We want to save them and have them ready for harvest.
State leaders hope by signing emergency declarations on both the local and state level, they'll be able to help anyone struggling this fall. In Harwood, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
Governor Doug Burgum visited Fargo, Grand Forks, Jamestown, and Fessenden today to find out how each area is being impacted by the flooding. The governor says it will help him better understand where funding is needed for farmers, ranchers, and public assistance.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with No Wait Weather.
All right, what a blustery way to start the work week. It's been very wet. Many locations picking up between 1/10 of an inch and 1/2 of an inch of rainfall, and the rain continues to fall. And the latest radar showing a transition to some snowflakes. Now, radars point up in the atmosphere, so that's where it's seeing some snowflakes. Not all of these are hitting the ground as snow, but needless to say, the atmosphere is cooling, and as that trend continues, more of us will have a chance at seeing some flakes. A band of rain is working its way through western portions of Minnesota right now. It continues in western Becker County and glides all the way up into eastern Polk County and beyond. Also, western parts of Otter Tail County seeing some of the shower activity as well. Not as heavy here in the FM area or in much of Clay County at this hour, but here is where we're starting to see a transition to likely a few flakes of snow. So in Griggs County, Cooperstown, and points west north into Nelson County is where things look like they're cooling off enough. And the radar is indicating that some of the at least precipitation particles up at cloud level are indeed ice in nature. Temperatures are in the 30s off to the west. Devils Lake, you have 36, 40 degrees in Grand Forks, 41s for Detroit Lakes, Fargo-Moorhead, and in Thief River Falls. Here is a look at Hector International Airport. Those clouds are quite low. The wind is screaming, and our gusts have hit over 50 miles per hour in Fargo, 54 mile per hour peak in the 9 o'clock hour. So we're in the windiest part of the day right now, 41 degrees as mentioned, and there's that peak wind we talked about. Likewise, we have peak winds out in the Hubbard County area that reached quite high levels. Rainfall between 1/10 and 1/2 of an inch for many, but where you see the colors, southeast North Dakota, numerous areas between 1 and 2 inches, and Barb down in Hankinson reporting 2 inches earlier this evening. Major flooding continuing at Oslo, and now we're concerned about things going on in Valley City thanks to the increased release from the Bald Hill Dam. That water comes down the Cheyenne River and into the Red River, so our river at the Fargo area is expected to be going up, while in Oslo, things are at least looking like they'll be trending in the right direction. Thanks to Gina for sharing this. This was down in Morton, Richland County, soggy fields there. More of the same taking place. This up by Oslo, the Beat Pile having problems, Maryland capturing that, as well as fields that look more like lakes at this time of the year. And a disaster in a muddy field in Marshall County. Mark Sin, thank you for taking the time to upload your photo. We're going to see a few of us with some flakes as we go through the overnight hours. Not a lot of accumulation, but a few out to the east could continue to see snow showers in the morning hours with maybe an inch or so on grassy areas. Temperatures for most in the low 30s. The wind continues to scream all night, gusts over 40. Tomorrow will be gusting over 30, and the wind won't end for us here throughout the valley until we get into the very late part of the day. However, we do have a chance for things to dry up in the late part of the day and maybe even clear out for our western neighbors. 37 in Fargo to start the day, gusts over 40 miles per hour and a 43-degree temperature as we head into the afternoon. 41 Grand Forks, 30s for Langdon and for much of north central Minnesota. One more photo to share. Tiffany capturing this dandy barn. And I got to tell you, Comstock looking pretty in that picture. 42 on Wednesday. By Friday, it looks very nice. So a couple of days to dry out before unsettled weather returns, particularly on Sunday.
We could use some more days like that photo.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Sash.
Up next on Valley News Live 10 at 10, President Trump is blasting the impeachment process and says Republicans and his party aren't doing enough to defend him.